Hey guys, welcome back to Unrested. If you're looking for more videos after this one, check out my channel Inksmith for anime and manga reviews as well as art. And today, I've got a pretty decent video. I thought about this one for a little bit. I've even got a list I've written up here. And it's about the Jvlog community. Now, some of you who've been with my channel for a long time know what I'm talking about when I say Jvlog community. Japan-based vloggers. That's what we were known as a long time ago, back about 10 years ago when this whole gig started of us making videos about Japan. I myself had a very small start where I just made some videos walking around Japan and talked slightly about my life. I got, I think, 50 subscribers, and then a lot of people started asking, how were you able to move there and live there? I made a video replying to that. I hated it. I thought it was the worst video ever, wanted to delete it. But then I got another 50 subscribers and realized, even though I think my voice sounds like a nasally bomb, some people didn't mind it. And I kept going. So that's kind of what we're talking about today, is the evolution and maybe de-evolution of the Jvlog community, because there really isn't a Jvlog community anymore. And that's not something I'm blaming on anybody or one creator in particular, or really any of us as a whole. It's more just about how YouTube also evolved and kind of split creators apart more so. So I guess, you know, when I very first started, it was 2006, 2007. You can go back on my videos and see them then, and they were pretty bad quality. I think I was recording on like an iMac back then, if you remember that machine. There was like a built-in camera, and I was recording on that using iMovies. We had a very close knit, even though we were scattered throughout Japan. I think we had Tikio Sam out in Tokyo. We had Gimme a Breakman in Nagoya. Who else? I think there was one in Fukuoka, although I don't remember who. Cakes, I think was his name. Cakes was out in Fukuoka. And that Japanese girl, I believe she was out in Fukuoka too. That's back when everybody had that Nantoka, like that guy with the glasses, that sci-fi guy. Wow, that's crazy. Man, I can't believe we had that back then. Anyway, we had a little bit of everybody everywhere, kind of scattered. I think I even did an interview with one Jvlogger in Hokkaido, and I can't remember his name right now. Mexican samurai down in Kyushu, although he kind of joined just as we were all starting to break apart. But that's what I want to talk about today, is how did this community break apart? And is there any chance of it ever coming back together? Spoiler alert, no. I think we've grown apart kind of naturally in a way where we're all living our own lives, and we just, as you know, start a family and things progress in your life, you get so busy that there isn't as much time for meetups and stuff like that. So the Jvlog community, that's one of the main things that first started to split them apart. A lot of us grew up, got married, had kids. You know, that's my situation. That's Gimme a Breakman situation. I guess Mexican Samurai already had that situation. There's probably some other people too in there. Oh yeah, what was there? There was Hana Minx, remember her too? Everyone always does videos about how she mysteriously disappeared. Guys, she just like married some director out in Hollywood, and he asked that she didn't make videos anymore. And that's why she didn't make videos anymore. So her situation was the same thing. She got married, and hence she disappeared completely. I mean, obviously my videos too also started to slow down. I used to make one video every single day for this channel back then. Of course, I didn't have kids, and I didn't have, you know, trips to jukus and kindergartens and hoikuens and everything like that to do back then. So I had a lot of time. I just had a normal 8-hour job. I'd come home, make a video, and chill the rest of the day. Now, yeah, my videos have been sparsed out, and for this last 6 months I didn't make any videos, and that was because I was feeling kind of negative about Japan. I didn't just want to bombard you with negative videos. I felt like today this is a pretty neutral video where I'm not getting too crazy negative about Japan. I'm just kind of talking about the community here in Japan. And that's also kind of what changed, was the community became more competitive. And I don't necessarily blame this on anybody within the community of Jvloggers. We all kind of started out at a base of 100 to 1,000 subs and grew from there. We split and went different ways with what we created. We didn't stick to just doing Jvlogs. I think we all ended up doing a little bit of a slice of life of Japan. And the weird thing that I always think about is that we used to call ourselves Jvloggers, but I don't think any of us really were like quote unquote like life vloggers. Like we didn't do well, here's me just chilling at my house, here's me going to work, here's me talking to some people on the street, kind of like what you'd imagine with, any other vlogger in any other country. Most of our stuff was topical and covered a certain subject or maybe a certain area, which I guess in a sense that is vlogging, when you go to an area and vlog your trip there. But we weren't actual like life vlogs. We do slice of life, like what it's like to be a salaryman or what it's like to work as an English teacher, stuff like that. But we never actually did like, this is my life. I've done a couple of those before, and while they're really fun and they allow for a lot of creativity, I think the biggest problem I realized is that for me, that meant I had to turn my camera on multiple times throughout the day. And there's some people in Japan who don't want to be filmed, that do want to be filmed, that don't want their face in the background, that do want their face in the background. Certain things you can't have in the background, certain businesses that don't want to be in the background can't film inside of stores most of the times. And even now, I mean, with my kids, they're rushing back and forth between elementary school and Juku, so they barely have time to be on camera either. It would just become a huge hassle that the only time I saw them, I'd have to turn on a camera. So I realized right away that wasn't going to be what my channel evolved into either. I used to do a lot of slice of life stuff, but I covered everything to a point where I feel like at times I just kind of reiterate the same stuff over and over again. So now my videos tend to just be like what's ever on my mind for that day I talk about. So YouTube became more competitive in that sense, that each person wanted to cover their own version of a topic. And I think there was some infighting at some points, that some people would get angry about covering the same topics, or even saying, you're just copying the video that I did. Where I think today that's not so common anymore, because there are so many YouTubers out there that you're going to end up copying something that somebody else did. Now, you're not going to copy it shot for shot and, verse per verse, but you're probably going to cover the same subject. I'm sure there's tons of people who've made their own version of the JFAQ. Well, I don't think they call it the JFAQ. I think they've covered some of the same stuff, such as hikikomori, or death from overwork in Japan, the Dark Side of Japan videos. I've even seen some videos called Dark Side of Japan videos, and they even have kind of the same theme for like the thumbnail, where it's this like dark, eerie picture of Japan. And then even the sort of creepypasta stuff or urban legend stuff, I've seen channels that cover that too. So that's where we started to split ways more, was YouTube becoming more competitive, splitting up into different directions, people covering only certain aspects. Like now there's so many channels about Japan that there's ones that cover only a certain subject. So for example, Anime Man, I mean, he only covers anime. Speaking of which, I have an anime channel now too called Inksmith. I'll link it below. But that's another aspect. There's some that only cover cars, only racing, street racing, or motorcycles in Japan. Working at a Japanese workplace, making video games in Japan, which is kind of awesome. Like even I love to watch those videos because I learned something new that I didn't already know about Japan. I tend not to watch a lot of channels that are like my own, because if I've reported on it, it's because I've lived it firsthand. Now, the other thing that's kind of sad that broke apart the Jvlog community was the loss of cherry blossom parties. We used to meet up pretty consecutively for these, and sadly, coronavirus kind of shut this down. So this put an even bigger kind of divide in the community, not in the sense of any sort of maliciousness or anything like that. I'm just saying that it broke up more because we weren't able to catch up with each other, find out what's going on in each other's life, because I don't know if people thought we emailed or messaged each other all the time, but usually we caught up at these parties with other Jvloggers and people making videos about Japan and just seeing what they're making recently. We tend not to even watch each other's videos because, like I just said, we live in Japan. We don't really need to watch, oh, this is what mochi tastes like in Japan. We eat mochi every day. So we would catch up, see how things are going, how people's channels are going, and get a sort of a checkpoint in people's lives as to where they were. And sadly, because we can no longer have cherry blossom parties for the past 2 years, they've been kind of ixnay on the cherry blossom party. We've not been able to do that, not been able to catch up. I've really missed out on even meeting up my own subscribers and viewers and other creators within the Osaka area. The next one is infighting. We're all guilty of this, I think, to some aspect. Rather than work together on some projects, some of us decided to start little hissy fits back when drama was cool on YouTube. I'm guilty of this. I think a lot of us early Jvloggers are guilty of this. It's something I don't touch on anymore. I don't want my channel to rotate around anymore or start any kind of fight with anymore, because when I look back on it now, I see how childish and immature it is, and realize my own mistakes in it. Is there still channels that do this? There might be, but they're few and far between, because that's just not what people are subscribing to Japanese vloggers channels for. They're not there for the drama. If they want drama, they'll watch Drama Alert with Keemstar. But the infighting kind of broke us apart too. It also started like small squabbles within the community. Some people's channels completely shut down and restarted. For example, Kanada Jin, I think her channel completely shut down and restarted on a new channel completely, and it deals with a totally different aspect of Japan now. Some people discontinued their channels that were like group channels, and everybody's kind of gone their own way with whatever they've decided to cover at this point. Even myself, although really with me it's more just about like the time that I have to make videos. Next, and probably the worst, the thing that I hate the most, is YouTube became very corporate. There used to be a time where you actually had to apply to be a partner for YouTube. And I remember back when I had 2,000 subscribers, I applied 3 times before I finally became a partner. That's just crazy to me. I can't believe you used to have to apply to become a partner. And now, your AdSense is way down. Most of my videos can't even get AdSense on them. I guess the good thing about it is I never saw YouTube as a career choice. It was just kind of a little extra money to buy some extra equipment here and there. I probably still have money sitting in the bank from YouTube, not a lot, but I never check on it, because when I finally do, then it's finally built up to a point where it's worth time for checking. But YouTube became much more corporate, and I think this also spurred on a lot more competitive drive amongst channels to create very well produced and well made videos, which I can't knock anybody for doing that. More power to you. There's some really great professional level, better than TV channels out there now. Of course, that meant us, the guys who just turn on the camera and start talking, are not quite as popular, which I think most of us were pretty aware of that to begin with when we started our channels, that they were always going to be kind of casual like this. And honestly, I think that's something I more prefer with this channel, as I feel like this is more of a conversation with my audience rather than me trying to shill any part of Japan to you or some kind of product from Japan. I've never taken a company sponsorship. I try to never select any checkpoint within my videos to put ads on. Like, I don't even know if ads show up. When I watch my videos, I don't see them, but I don't ever turn ads on. I think you actually have to turn them on now. I never turn them on. Probably some of my older videos have ads, because now YouTube, like I said, the whole corporate move, can put ads on your videos even if you don't select to put ads on your videos. So some of my videos, like the Hikikomori one, which has like, I think like 300,000 views, there's ads put on that because YouTube knows they can make money on it, but I don't. How messed up is that? You know, once again, not that the money is the main drive for me when it comes to being a YouTuber. But I guess it is good in the sense that it's always kept me kind of grounded with knowing that the reason this channel exists is to talk to my audience. Sadly, the downside to that is once your channel becomes like this sort of casual channel like we have now, you're not in the algorithm anymore. You know, I'm not updating every single day. I'm not making 20 to 40-minute videos that are high production and get a ton of views. So it's just a small conversation, and honestly, my channel sinks every day rather than grows. And that's because now there's a new policy too, where if someone's been subscribed for your channel for a really long time and they don't watch it anymore, YouTube will often unsubscribe them. And I always used to wonder about that. I'd be like, why are people unsubscribing? Did I do something so awful? Well, I started to realize like if people have inactive accounts and stuff like that, or started a new account and don't watch it on that account anymore, then they actually unsubscribe them and eventually close the account. I think it's actually after 2 years of inactivity or something like that. So I forget what it is. If they've done absolutely nothing, and that means like no comments, no watching, no viewing, no creation, then they'll close it. But maybe they just unsubscribe, but I don't know exactly. Anyway, so that's what corporate YouTube's kind of done to all of us, is kind of shut down anybody who was just a casual creator. Where at the same time though, I kind of understand, because really to compete in the high levels, I feel like your production quality has to be almost or better than TV level. And I don't think that's something I'll ever be able to do with this channel. I don't think I'll ever have the time to do that with this channel anymore. You know, it's also the other reason why I started my secondary channel, where I could talk more freely and more openly about things that I'm excited about within Japan. Because one of the sadder aspects of having lived in Japan this long is I've seen a sort of stagnation. You know, I've seen stagnation within technology, within how Japan uses the internet. There's a lot of stagnation. For example, there's some things I can't even cover within Japan because you can get hit by big companies like Toei, who just recently struck down 150 videos by Totally Not Mark, just because he talked about or drew pictures of their One Piece and Dragon Ball Z characters. That's totally messed up. I actually recently did a video about that on one of my channels, but that also sways a lot of us who create videos to not make videos about those things within Japan. So it limits more of our different forking pathways of content we can create. So sort of the technological stagnation in that aspect of Japan's corporate overlords has kind of slowed down production within some of our videos as well. But that said, do I miss the Jvlog community? Yeah, you know, I do. I really do. I miss the close connections we used to have, the discussions we used to have. You know, I still do very much so like when I get to go online and talk live with people like Hiko Simon and Victor, and we discuss current affairs going on in Japan, where we don't really get a lot of time to do that anymore, which is kind of sad. You know, we're all super busy with life and families, but you know, I do miss that aspect. I miss that closeness of being able to connect with my fellow creators and talk about what they're making within Japan. Sometimes it would inspire us to make our own version of the same video, or it would inspire us to talk about a subject that we hadn't thought about in a certain way before. It would change our perspective on things, and it would make us, you know, want to help each other out a little bit more within the community, whereas now we don't have that closeness that allows us to really shout each other out, to give each other props, to talk about each other's channels, and to catch up on what the other person is doing or do updates on lives. Like, there's no close-knit Japanese communities aside from like maybe Trash Taste with Anime Man, which you know, I'm envious of that. I love that he has his friends there to talk on a podcast, and they completely live off of that side of YouTube of talking about things they love. That's awesome. You know, I totally 100% in support of that. I wish we could still have the same type of community within our own Jvlog community, but you know, all the factors I listed today are the things that kind of split us and put us on our different ways. I don't think there's any situation where we'll eventually get back together unless some new video sharing website comes up that can compete with YouTube, which I don't foresee for the future. Anything that starts up tends to get shut down pretty quick just because they can't afford to carry the amount of uploads that people do when it comes to video sharing. So sad but true. I think that is the death knell for the Jvlog community. To all my friends and creators who I made stuff with, thank you for everything that we've ever made together. Thank you for working with me. Sorry if I ever made trouble for anybody out there, which I'm sure I did. I regret it. Picking any kind of fights or getting into stupid online rivalries. None of it was worth it. What was better than anything else was the close relationships, friendships, video sharing, and creativity we held together with this community. And I'm sad to see that go. I'm sad to see that become a thing of the past. Anyway, I just thought I'd do a little bit of update on that. It's, more of a neutral topic, not so negative. I didn't want to do another negative video about Japan after my Olympic one. I hope all of you are doing well. I hope you guys have a great Christmas or whatever holiday you're celebrating, and a happy new year. I will probably talk to you again soon after all the holidays calm down a bit. Have a great rest of the week.